finding who you are, trying to get.
Hey, welcome to Social Work Sunday Tea. I am Shakia Houston. It's a great day to be alive and well. Make sure you like, subscribe, all those good things. It is Sunday, May 26th, 2024. Look, I know I've been missing in action, but I've been working. And so I will love, I love to see you guys' faces and all those good things. And thank you for always being there and being supportive. But yeah, I just want everybody to tune in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Today we have a special guest. If you'd like to introduce yourself, I'm going to put you on the main screen so I can figure out some stuff that's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, if you'd like to introduce yourself and your organization, all those good things.
Yes, my name is Fanya Burford-Berry. I am the director of the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force. We are located in Chicago, Illinois, on the west side, and we work the corners of in Austin, East and West Garfield Park, North Lawndale, and Western Humboldt Park, the western side of a Humboldt Park. And so what my organization does is that we go on the corners where people deal drugs and people consume drugs and teach basic harm reduction. So harm reduction is a philosophy where we meet people where they are. We don't leave them there, but we meet them where they are, especially when it comes to drug usage. So if you are a person that uses drugs, what we do is tell you, hey, there's been overdoses in this area. The drug supply is highly toxic. And in order for you to stay alive, we want you to practice harm reduction with yourself and your friends. And so when you use, don't use alone. If you are to use, please use slowly and maybe test your drugs first before you use and to see what's in it, if the presence of fentanyl is in it, and just go slow and take your time and just be aware that the drug supply is toxic and it could cause you to have a fatal overdose. And then with that, if you don't use alone, you're using with a friend, maybe you use first and then your a friend watches, and if there is an overdose, and then we teach signs of overdose, what that looks like, then your friend can deliver Narcan to you, and then your friend delivers Narcan. We tell all the people that we meet that if you are using drugs yourself and you deliver Narcan, but you call 911, there's the Good Samaritan Act that protects you from you being arrested for your own drug usage. And then also, too, just how to save your friend's life, right? Because our friends matter. We love our friends. Um, and so that's the direct service part of our work. The second piece of our work is that we convene all the agencies that work with people who use drugs, people who are in treatment and recovery. And those agencies you hear on the news: Thresholds, Haymarket, Family Guidance, Bobby Wright, Haas, that is healthcare, alternative systems, or HSI, which is here on the west side. So we convene those agencies that come together. We talk about the gaps in services for the people who use drugs, as well as for people in treatment and recovery. And then we try to troubleshoot those issues and bring them forth to our city, the city of Chicago,
Yeah.
as well as to our state, the state of Illinois, who have been tremendous partners in this opioid crisis.
Yeah.
And we've created new systems in order to address the opioid crisis. So one of the new things we created with our troubleshooting is the hotline that you see called MAR Now. That's
Mm-hmm.
Medication Assistant Recovery,
Okay.
where people can call up and they can get, due to the pandemic,
Right.
they can get into a, it used to be where in order to get methadone or to get on that medicated assistant recovery, if you decided you wanted to get off of heroin or any kind of opioid related disorder, you had to go to a doctor, see him in person, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then 7 o'clock in the morning, you had to go to the methadone clinic. Well, because of the pandemic, those rules changed. And so
Okay.
telehealth
Okay.
became so important. And so that's what MAR Now is, the telehealth piece. So you call them up, they connect you with a doctor right away. That doctor says, goes through and says, oh, you do need this treatment, right? And so
Right.
they'll sign you to a place close by, hopefully,
Wow.
to
Yeah.
get you medicated onto medicated assistant recovery, get you onto methadone, Suboxone, View,
Right.
Trial right away. And so that was one of our projects that we worked on with our partners in the task force. And then another thing is that the city of Chicago knew where overdoses were happening for opioids, but they
Yeah.
didn't have a coordinated system to tell us about it. And we
Right.
were like, well, if you know what overdoses are happening through the EMS, tell us. And so
Right.
finally, we developed a coordination monthly meeting where we can go and see the corners or the blocks where overdoses are happening. And then
Okay.
now we go to those neighborhoods, teach harm reduction, and distribute Narcan. And then the last part of our work, which is on the continuum, right, of
Right.
harm reduction, is
Okay.
that we're trying to advocate for an overdose prevention site. And
Okay.
there's two overdose prevention sites in New York. They're unsanctioned, right, from the federal government. What an overdose prevention site is a person could go in after they purchase their drugs on the streets, purchase their drugs on the street. They then go into a place where they would be medically supervised in order to take their drugs so that they won't
Wow.
overdose. And
Wow.
so we were educating the community about that. And there's still a lot of work because people see that as condoning drug usage, whereas
Mm.
we're just trying to keep people alive until we're a harm reduction agency,
Right.
until they manage their use, right?
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah.
some people, for some reason, can live a very long lives, and
Hmm.
they are people who have heroin or
Yeah.
opioid use disorder,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's totally they're connected with family, friends,
Absolutely.
work. It's
Yes.
not up to us to judge.
Yeah.
And when your use becomes unmanageable, chaotic, as we could refer to it,
Yeah.
that's when you need treatment and recovery, and that's when we're here to step in and help you navigate navigate that issue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm,
So my question to you then, and you guys have been an amazing job, doing an amazing job, because I
mhm,
see you out there on
mhm,
different corners and different spots. I didn't really know, right? And I was like,
mhm,
oh, so it's like everybody they out there, like I want everybody to know that they're out there like
mhm,
serving the people.
mhm,
And if you can just if you could just go and see what's going on, like it is a big impact, and
mhm,
so my question to you, what made you get into this arena,
mhm.
and this amazing organization?
Yeah. Well, so in 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, I already
Mhm.
had an issue. I probably knew, but I am
Mhm.
the pandemic caused that mental health crisis and a crisis of
Yeah.
substance use disorder in
Right.
my life, right? And
Okay.
so I uh with the work of I'm a pastor, and my denomination is a very grace-filled denomination. I am
Okay.
a pastor with the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America.
Okay.
And my bishop saw that had issues, right? I had the
Mhm.
mental health and I had the substance use disorder. They were converging together
Mhm.
because of the isolation that the pandemic brought. And so I needed to seek treatment and recovery. And
Mm.
so with that, I ended up going to Linden Oaks,
Okay.
which is a suburban
Mhm.
treatment center, but they had a great outpatient program because they really weren't keeping people during
Right.
COVID. So I would go from an 8 to 3 in Plainfield and work on myself. And so I was diagnosed co-occurring disorder with depression,
Okay.
anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder,
Okay.
and my self-medication was I chose to self-medicate with alcohol. And so in doing that work, talking about my trauma, talking about the issues that I had growing up, seeing my own parents, substance use disorder, understanding myself more with that. After I finished that 28-day treatment program, then I needed, because I was my, like I said, my incredible denomination and we worked
Yeah.
together, and I got on disability, so I was off for a whole year, which was so helpful to have that break.
Right.
Um, that I ended up going to Above and Beyond, which is located on Lake Street, and
Right.
that one
Yeah.
I love even better than Linden
Yeah.
Oaks. Right, Linden Oaks, I'm
Yeah.
paying straight up good money, right?
Yeah.
The treatment
Yeah.
was great, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They talked about smart recovery. They
Yes.
talked about, at the time, there it's a meditative recovery approach,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to think. But they ended up, this meditative recovery approach ended up having something go wrong with their founder, but what he was trying to do was a good thing. So it was the whole thing.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
like based on Buddha, right?
Okay.
And so I am not an AA person. I'm not NA, I'm not GA. Like, those programs don't attract me into recovery. And so I
Right.
was honestly sort of afraid, like, when I left Linden Oaks, they were like, well, you got to go to an AA group. And I was just like, but thank you. You said, I was like, this is not looking good. If this is the
Right.
only post treatment
Yeah.
that I can need it. So, but I found
Yeah.
Above and Beyond because I was looking for smart recovery,
Okay.
because Linden Oaks introduced me to smart recovery.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
they had it there, and I was like, okay, I got to go here. And so I entered again another 28-day program, but Above and Beyond has fantastic mental health as well as substance use disorder
Absolutely.
modalities. So
Absolutely.
I had, I was taking improv therapy, where they
Okay.
had people from Second City come in and
Mhm.
talk about improv and the use of improv. And I think I'm more like, oh, I can play now. Like, I play more because of them,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, there was a Dharma recovery, which is a Buddha approach to it, where you
Okay.
just sort of meditate on
Yeah.
something, and being a pastor, I love that. Like, here's a piece
Yeah.
of word, let's
Yeah.
meditate on it and talk about it. So that's kind of what
Absolutely.
they do it, right? And
Absolutely.
then, and then art therapy, art expression.
Right.
And then they had another group called Harmony, Hope, and Healing. And these are fantastic therapeutic uh, small nonprofits
Yeah.
throughout Chicagoland, which is
Yeah.
really amazing to get attached to. So while
Yeah.
I'm here, I'm living in Austin, and I love our local newspapers, right? I have one right here, the
Yeah.
Austin Voice, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Shout out to the
I'm
Austin
looking
Voice.
at it, I'm like, there's this Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force. What is this all about, right? And
Mhm.
I look and I see my 8th grade principal, Luther Sias, is the
Wow.
director of outreach for the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force. Now,
Wow.
I'm a worker. That's like, my name is Fanya Wayusi,
Mhm.
and it's Swahili, meaning to work for the people.
Okay.
And so I'm like,
Okay.
I gotta work, right? I got not
Yeah.
like volunteer. So I call him up on the phone and say, I'm in treatment, but I'm only going from 9 to like 1 o'clock. And I need something to do for the rest of the day. And I said, can I do something for you? And he's like, yeah. So I ended up just going out to see their work, and we were
Yeah.
on Lake and St. Louis that day. And Lake of St. Louis is hot if you guys have ever been.
Listen, it is.
And,
It's hot.
but
Yeah.
it's such great work because we're in the
Yeah.
park. We're encountering people who
Yep.
use drugs. They're telling us their stories.
Yeah.
They are grateful that we're out there.
Yeah.
young men and young women who are, choosing a profession, right? That's not healthy for our community, but there's something that's going on with them. Um,
Absolutely.
um, are okay with us being there. They're protecting us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they care, to a certain extent. There is this weird unhealth, like it's dysfunctional relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like the
Absolutely.
drug people who deal in drugs need their people, right, who use
Right.
drugs,
Right.
and so they want them to stay alive. And
Absolutely.
so we're there in the park doing this work with them, and I was just like, I really like this work. And I end up coming off a disability, and my bishop says, no, I got a place for you, you can go out to Naperville. And I'm like,
Naperville.
Naperville. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, I'll go and do an interim and see if I'm really like, is this the work and I'm called to do is with the
Right.
Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force,
Yeah.
or is it doing the work of a pastor in a traditional setting with people? Is this the work I'm called to do? So I had to like do that. And more as I sat that year, I was and working with the task force, I was like, no, I'm more called to do this work with my people.
Yeah.
And not to say that the work I didn't do in Naperville was fulfilling. It was more like I could feel myself being more drawn to it.
Yeah.
And eventually I helped them get 2 new pastors,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And because that was part of my job, was like,
Yeah.
they were like,
Praise the Lord on that.
can you do work here? And I was like,
Yeah.
no, you guys just don't know.
No, I get it.
Yes. And so I ended up now in September, I became the director of the
Okay.
Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force after I left my interim in Naperville. When I had
Awesome.
everything, honestly, I had everything. As people probably like, you're crazy. You had everything. I had a secretary. I had 2 other pastors I could work with.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
2 buildings,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. Mm-hmm.
No, and your heart was pulling
Exactly.
um towards the direction of the West Side Task Force,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and also connecting with our people, right? And it's not to
Yes.
say that you couldn't connect. You can connect with anybody,
Yes.
but I think it's
Yes.
just our people and seeing someone that, hey, I overcame this, and you can do the same thing because I
Mhm.
mean, a light tracks a light, right?
Yes.
And I think that meeting people, we said this, I said this before the show started. I think meeting people where they are, right? And that's the beautiful part of the
Mhm.
healing process, and actually being aware of themselves. Like, hey, I'm a reflection of you, right?
Yes.
And so if I can do it, surely you can
Yes.
do it. So it's
Yes.
like it just compels people to want to do better. And kind
Exactly.
of like it's pretty much as I say in my therapy sessions, we just plant seeds around here, and they
Yes.
just laugh, and there's like, oh, okay.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's all we doing. And I think, on the spiritual side for me, right? And I just
Mhm.
said, I love on people, right? The
Mhm.
unlovable, right?
Yes.
I worked in long-term care for over 9 years. I worked at the psych facility for
Mhm.
over 4 years. And a lot of people, what we're lacking is love,
Yeah.
right? And the
Oh,
compassion. And
yes.
so it's like, I have to show because I am a believer and I love the Lord.
Yes.
And so it's like I have to show them that, right? Because
Mhm.
God loves us. And so he tells us, "Look, love one another," right? And so
Yes.
I'm just like, I hate that. Let me go. Let me love on you, right? And so
Yes.
it's like, love on them to compel them. Like, what is it about you? And I say
Yes.
this all the time in talking and things like that. What, what that compels me to love you because God loves me. And
Yeah.
so it's like, come on now. So we
Mhm.
definitely um uh people need people,
Yes.
at the end of the day. Yes, people need people. Someone asked the question, does the task force provide Narcan to the community, and maybe training on that too?
Yes, absolutely. That's what we do. It's anybody who passes us by. We look at, like, we have like little lines. Do you want to save a life? And some people are intrigued by that. Some people are
Mhm.
intrigued by. We have an older gentleman. His name is Ralph McNabb, and he's
Okay.
like, I know your mama, and all of a sudden he's like 80 years old. So you kind of like, he might know mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so people
Yeah.
get drawn into the table, and we then train them on Narcan and then give them Narcan for free. It is available at Walgreens, but don't go there, right? Because it's
Right.
you have to pay $45 for it.
Okay.
The state of Illinois, like I said, has done such a remarkable job in the sense of providing Narcan to the community for absolutely free. And
Yeah.
we are one of the advocates. One of the things we advocate for is to make sure it stays free for the community, as well as we give off fentanyl test strips for the
Okay.
community
Okay.
and xylazine test strips.
Okay.
Benzoids come up in our drug supply often. Mother's Day weekend, though, we had over 50 overdoses over on Roosevelt.
Okay.
And now we found out there's something new in the drug supply, a new animal tranquilizer, and I cannot say the name, so
Okay.
because I don't know why they make these names so difficult.
Okay.
But that's actually, we've been working very hard
Okay.
on getting Narcan out in that area, because people have been doing it's been this particular animal tranquilizer has knocked people out and sent actually a lot of folks over to Sinai Hospital, as well as to Humble Park and West Suburban. So it was a quite difficult weekend, Mother's Day weekend. And then we went out on Friday just to, hand out Narcan and say, be safe, because Memorial Day and the violence that happens on Memorial Day, as well as drug
Absolutely.
usage, everything sort
Right.
of pops off on Memorial Day weekend. I did see a question that came
Yeah.
up.
Needle exchange.
We ourselves are right now in the process of understanding the needle exchange piece.
Okay.
We just started out with Narcan. We are partnered with one of the oldest organizations in harm reduction in the United States, in the nation, and that is Chicago Recovery Alliance. Chicago Recovery Alliance started doing needle exchanges back in, I want to say, like the early 90s, in Chicago, due to the AIDS epidemic and HIV. And so we work with them, and they will come out and they will provide needles. They will provide snort kits as well as pipes to everybody. So once we get trained on all those harm reduction items, then we will start doing that work as well.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Yeah, everybody, if you have any questions,
Yes,
go ahead, fill up the chat with questions if you
exactly.
have any, because this organization is doing work, and
Mhm.
they're making change in
Yeah.
the community. So what are some of the trainings? I know you guys do trainings on Narcan,
Mhm.
how to administer
Yeah.
Narcan. So what are some of the things that you go over in the training?
Oh, very simple. Just what overdose looks like. You might see somebody with blue lips, fingertips blue. Their eyes are pinpointed, right? Skin clammy, shallow breathing. If they're shallow breathing, if you hear a rattle when they breathe, then we say, you know what, this person might be experiencing an overdose. If you see that, right? It could be anything, but we think you're experiencing an overdose. The first thing we tell people, call 911. When you see those symptoms, you call 911. You say someone is not responding, someone's not breathing. All right. They're going to try to press you for more information. No, you just say someone's not responding, not breathing. You tell them where you are. And then when you can, hang up the phone. And then this is when you actually check to see, right? Because something's happening with the person.
Right.
So you really, really check and see. You rub underneath their nose really hard, or you rub their sternum. If they really are not responding to this, that means they're really experiencing an overdose. And then you need to administer Narcan. So Narcan, I forgot to bring my little demonstration.
Okay. You can go get it. Look, we family here.
I know. Where's my purse? I'm shocked that I did that. I knew I should have had that with me.
She'll be right back.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, she'll be right back. But if you have any questions or anything, she got it on deck. Come Come on then. Show the people what y'all do.
All right. So it was in my purse. So this is Narcan right here. This is one dose.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
This is one dose. And so basically take it out the package. You as a matter of fact, it doesn't harm you at all.
Okay.
There's nothing on the top. You just spray up the nose and it just goes up. If you don't have any opioids in your system, it does not affect you. It's like water almost, right?
Okay.
If you have opioids in your system, so an opioid goes into your opioid receptor. This is like little medicine, like biology, right? Goes
Okay.
into your opioid receptor and goes into that. The opioid floats in and then gives you what an opioid does is relaxes your system and creates shallow breathing. And fentanyl, right? These are helpful things. Fentanyl, opioids, they're helpful things for surgery, right? So that people can perform procedure on you. So
Right.
it's not a bad thing. So what the Narcan does, the Narcan kicks out the opioid and then replaces it on the receptor, right? And so that's what Narcan does. And it only works for opioids.
Okay.
So what that means is once you call that 911, you have to stay with that person um until the 911 arrives and you tell them what you've done, because they can go back into an overdose, because all it did was the receptor. The Narcan did was kick the opioid off the receptor, so the opioid actually is still in your brain.
Okay.
So once the Narcan wears off, it can go back into that receptor, and you can go back into fatal overdose. So that's the reason why it's important to stay with the person until 911 arrives. And so part of our work is educating people who use drugs to say your high is not gone, your intoxication is not gone. Rather, it's just been delayed, and you have to now watch yourself, just make sure you don't fatally overdose. Please do not go and get more opioids, because that's still in your system.
Absolutely. We have a question as it pertains to harm reduction. What some in the like as far as some of the issues with this and promote complete abstinence, right? How do you respond to those individuals promoting complete abstinence and explain harm reduction?
I think everybody has their lane to work in. So there are people who need to have baby steps, or maybe like if they're a part of my undergrad is education. So there's this idea of scaffolding of a person, of a building. So when you scaffold a building, you are working to build the building up. You only take the scaffold off until you know they're completely ready. And the truth be told, some people who've used drugs is that they need to be supported for maybe a long time, maybe a good 5 to 10 years before they can actually reach abstinence, right? Before they make that decision of abstinence. So harm reduction is about, I'm a person I know that has the ability to work with people in their managed use, right? And to help them move towards, maybe if they get there, to abstinence and sobriety. But if not, it's their road to their recovery. And I can't judge that, but then there's people who can work with people who are totally sober, right? Who need the total abstinence. And those are gifted and good people too. So I think it's just, all of us are called, if you're part of this work, that my job isn't to judge the person who's working in the total sobriety lane, and that's what they need and expect of their clients. I'm trying to say, I'm keeping people alive. I'm trying to help them get the resources that they need, because a lot of times there's other things going on with a
Yeah.
person besides just their substance use. The substance use disorder is just a manifestation of
Oh,
something else, of mental health
absolutely.
issues, right?
Absolutely.
Of the
Yeah.
fact that the social determinants of health, right? There's housing, there is poor nutrition. We don't
Yeah.
even talk
Absolutely.
about nutrition and substance use as well as mental health. When
Yeah.
I, like you, I worked on a lock unit, and Dr. Trump would always demand a full panel before
Mm.
someone came up to our mental health unit. The reason why is
Yeah.
because if your D3 is low or
Yeah.
your B12 is low, then
Yeah.
that can manifest as dementia.
Yeah. 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 And people don't understand that. Like just like when someone have a UTI, it's
Yes,
strange. Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
so like nutrition, those things, all that matters to your mental health and
Yeah.
substance use disorder.
Yeah.
And but we our this is our US education
Yeah.
medical system. This
Yeah.
is what we got to deal with. But honestly, harm reduction needs to be a philosophy in that
Yeah.
field. Like
Yeah.
we we probably cause so much harm in our practice of medicine in the Western world. I
Yeah.
don't want to even go there. It's like you, we could talk. So, and for those who, I approach it, it's just like, I'm a fat girl, right? And so I need a coach. I need people to help me, right? I need to
Okay.
help people help me manage my eating, right? And so I feel the same way about people who use drugs. And so I try to relate to that when people tell me, "Oh, you're just condoning people's drug usage." It's like, no,
No.
it's we all need help in certain fields, and we need support. And
Yeah.
until I'm able to stand on my own,
Yeah.
you know, let
Yeah.
me have that support. Let those scaffolds,
Yeah.
and
Like, and
all
this
of us
is,
have that.
yeah, absolutely. That's where we meet people where they are.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey, you at a 7, I'm at the 7 with you. So what we doing? Right?
exactly,
But no,
exactly.
I definitely
Mhm,
I definitely believe in that. That was a good question,
mhm,
Kayla.
yes.
That was a very, very good question. Like
Mhm,
when you said support, right? So I was
mhm,
like, what kind of mental health like systems? I don't know, you said
yeah,
Bobby, right? Things like
mhm.
that. What does the task force provide or recommend for individuals dealing with like substance abuse and the dual diagnosis?
Well, you know what? We really try to stay in our lane. So that's when our partners come in. That's when
Okay.
Bobby Wright comes in. That's when Above and Beyond comes in.
Yes.
That's when Family Guidance comes in. Using those people who have studied mental
Mhm.
health, have studied substance use disorder well. What the task force does well is because we're people in recovery and we're people who live on the West Side. Those are really the two things we honestly require
Yes.
of our outreach workers.
Absolutely.
We then, when we're out with our partners, such as UIC, such as Family Guidance, such as all those folks who do the services, the programs,
Absolutely.
like I said with Ralph says, I know because he's an old West Sider. I know your grandma, da, 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 da. And
Right.
so all of a sudden somebody's in the conversation, they've just been hooked. And then if and we do ask the questions about substance use disorder with the people that we
Absolutely.
encounter. And so
Absolutely.
we like, if you are interested in treatment and recovery, here is an organization that does this work. And so we just warm hand them off to our partners on the street. And so that is
Absolutely.
like the giftedness of the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force, that our outreach workers are not, they don't need degrees. All they need to be is personable, love people and community.
Yeah.
Um, some of them still have their own substance use disorders
Mhm.
that we as a task force work. Like, there's some of our team, they gotta say, I gotta go for a week. And we're like, we love you. When you ready, come on
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Right. So they
Yeah.
always have a job with us. And so I
Yeah.
think that's what makes our work so
Yeah.
fulfilling. It's like you don't have to
Yeah.
like say you're done, and somebody's, you know, who needed connection,
Yeah.
um, because it was like when we're working in different fields, you know, you need people who like if you're working for the CTA, you need people who are sober, right? That's
Yeah.
just a matter of fact. And
Yeah.
our job was so graceful, and what I love about my work is I don't have to cut anybody off. You still are here. You're still family.
Absolutely.
When you come back, just
Hey,
go and get to the work.
yeah, just
Yeah,
jump on in. Okay, we got another question. Is there
yeah.
any violent training taught or de-escalation training for the task force when going out?
Yeah, we do have our task force has taken mental health 101.
Okay.
One thing that's great about our work is because we are partner with other people, and I think it's because also too most of our people are from the West Side, so people sort of
Mhm.
know them,
Yeah.
and you know they've been in the same spaces that
Mhm.
we don't have as much anger.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord,
Yeah.
as maybe we would encounter if we weren't from the neighborhood,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I do think that's helpful with the familiarity, like um like I said, like it's strange. Like I said, people who deal the drugs, they protect
Yeah.
us. So that
Yeah.
anger is not there like people would expect. And like we get so many stories about how Narcan has been used on the people that come to us and how
Yeah.
they've used Narcan to save people's lives. Like that spirit
Yeah.
of saving lives is infectious,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so it's a different frame. You're not afraid when you're on the corner
Yeah.
because there is healing going on
Yeah.
and you can
Yeah.
feel the healing
Yeah.
that's going on.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, like, as far as crisis intervention, like how to de-escalate and things like
Mhm.
that. I know that when I did that, well, I keep it updated as far as the certification.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, definitely meeting people where they're
Mhm.
at. Like,
Mhm.
hey, this how to de-escalate, especially if they get angry or upset or
Mhm.
things like that. So it's definitely good to have training on that as
Mhm.
well. Oh, that's it. Okay. Oh, I enjoy how you built a relationship between. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only with the
Yeah.
users, but the dealers too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is awesome. Yeah.
You think there will be lots of violence, but it's not
Yeah.
happening the way people think because that's not what we're there for. And
Yeah.
so it's a totally different vibe, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like more so like family. So growing up on
Yeah.
my block, you had the drug dealers and things like that. And so it's kind of, yeah, that was smart. Yeah, that's a smart thing to do.
Mhm.
But yeah, they'd be like, okay, college girl, go in the house. It's time for you to go in the house. I was like,
Yes.
oh,
Uh-huh.
okay. And
Yes.
they always watch and
Yes.
make sure you good. No, and that's a great relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a great,
Yeah.
great relationship.
They will
Yeah.
tell us if the block had violence on it, like a couple hours or if it was the day before. They want us to be safe, you
Okay.
know? And
Okay.
so um the de-escalation really sometimes is not necessarily it's with it's with mental health.
Yeah.
It is when people are, I would say, the extremely religious, like fixation,
Yeah.
those people are sort of sometimes harder
Yeah, they
to
are.
talk to.
Mhm.
And like we just okay, Jesus is Lord, you know, and start playing singing and hopefully
Yeah.
can distract them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're not violent.
Right.
They're just because I'm not into, I mean, I've worked on a mental health unit, but it's like that when people just are, they're so fixated and
Yeah.
they're just talking and talking and talking and until they basically talk to themselves until they're tired, but they're not
Yeah.
on drugs.
Mm-mm.
It
No.
is a mental health
Mental health.
issue,
Yeah, definitely.
and which we've been trying to figure out. That's one of the issues that we've been like, we need
Yeah,
more.
manic. Yeah, we were saying
Yeah,
manic. I was thinking, yeah, manic.
we
Yeah.
need more
Yeah.
people in the system. Manic, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
to work with
Yeah.
that. But you can't, when someone's manic, you gotta just let it.
You gotta let it flow. you
Yeah.
know, and like we don't, you know, we were taught to not to talk them out of their
Yeah.
delusion or
You
whatever that
can't.
they're saying. You just let them talk. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, so that's what happened. This what
Yeah.
happened. It's kind of
Yeah.
like it, as if you have a listening ear, because a lot of people
Mhm.
are not listening, right?
Yes.
And so I think more so just like, oh, okay, all right,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they tell you your whole there, and in between those in that episode, they tell you like
Mhm.
what happened to them, what
Yes.
they experienced, and you kind of
Yeah.
like, I mean, just being in this field, I dissect and I take out what is being said to me. I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, okay. And then if
Mhm.
you see them again, they won't even remember half the time what they said.
They don't.
They don't. So it's like, okay, but I know the story in between the lines.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of connecting with people and really
Mhm.
listening to what they have to say. And
Mhm.
and a lot of times though, people they like, they don't have anybody to talk to, just to
Mhm.
listen to ear, like, oh, I got that off,
Yeah.
as far as even I am going through this manic
Yeah.
episode and
Yes.
this challenging time right now, maybe
Mhm.
not be on medication,
Yes.
they've been off their medication for a while. And so it's like,
Mhm.
okay, all right, I'm gonna have a
Mhm.
conversation. And I think
Mhm.
I'm glad that you guys are out there and really, um, taking in and soaking in and really, really making yourself aware. And we was talking about this before the show, how people that are not in mental health, they don't understand what
Mhm.
we encounter on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
Especially you guys, y'all boots to the ground. Y'all
Mhm.
like in it.
Yeah.
And so when people on the outside looking in, and that's why, I want to bring you on the show so people can see and really hear some of the stories and some of the
Mhm.
things that you have encountered when it comes
Mhm.
to people with like substance use and
Yeah.
people with mental health issues.
Mhm.
And sometimes those things go hand in hand.
Yeah.
However, but when you don't see it on a regular basis, you think that it's foreign to you. Oh, they're
Exactly.
crazy, or
Yeah.
they're this. I'm like, no, everybody got a story,
Yes.
and I just think that just unveiling that and making people aware, like, this is what this is. And it's a lot of people in our families.
Yes.
And we think that it's like, oh, okay. But when people outside of our families, they're like, oh, they're just crazy. They just this.
Yeah.
No, like it happens to everybody has something going on. And I want
Yes.
people to make people aware of that.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
I mean, my aunt suffered from depression.
Mhm.
She went through manic phases, and we saw it.
Yeah.
And her husband had great insurance, so she had a great places to go to
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
order to work it out, right?
Yeah.
Um, the issue that we see is that our community where we currently reside, right, is community. When you look at the average median income,
Yeah.
I think Austin is like 40,000. West Garfield Park is 33,
Yeah.
35,000.
Yeah.
There's no access to resources
No.
for our mental health and substance use treatment because our community does not have that type of money to have um, great treatment centers, great mental health
Yeah.
centers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I am happy that Pastor Mayor Johnson is trying to reinstate
Yeah.
our mental health clinics, but also too uh, making sure our mental health clinics really speak to what Black people need. And I think sometimes we
Yeah.
still are, there are great theories and great modalities of the white community.
Absolutely. Yeah. It
But
is.
we really need to look at it and figure out how this works for us.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Mhm.
everything can be like centered towards the Black experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so a lot of people, I know a lot of Black people that I've encountered and dealt with, they was like, oh, I don't want a white therapist. No shade to any of the white clinicians, but
Yes.
they want somebody that can be able to connect
Yes.
and be like, okay, I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, they don't want to see therapists because a lot of people that, like the culture of clinicians and things like that. It definitely it's just in a different worlds. We're in two different worlds. Right, Katie. Mental health can be it can manifest itself differently in different cultures.
Yes.
Right, absolutely.
Yes.
And so, but we want our own culture and
Yes.
create it in our own way. And
Yes.
and really, really home in and cultivate that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in the city and on the west side, we definitely and on the south side as well, but we're talking about the west side because it's the best side. But but no, to really just really cultivate that and say, hey, I'm here. And it's a clinician that looks just like you and ready to serve you. And so and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. And that's why I do the work that I do. That's why you do the work that you do. And I just feel like it's beautiful. And I think that's why we were created as vessels to do God's work and to be among the mental health arena and to help our people. So I want to just address like our final thoughts, right? Because it's coming towards time. And I just want to, one thing you want a thought or a message that you would like to leave with our listeners about the importance of addressing opioid abuse and mental health and really the task force in general.
Ooh, that's a good question. That is, there's so much I want, right?
Yeah.
And so that's so hard to like, what's the one thing?
Yeah.
I would say, oh, okay. So I love Above and Beyond, like the way they have all the modalities. Like if we can recreate that, again, right, with free. However, what I would switch with Above and Beyond, like if you enter it, it's like entering like a hotel room. If anybody's ever been there, like it's very posh, right? What I would switch there, so I think it speaks more to Black people and our needs, right? Is I would switch it and like you enter into a kitchen. You enter into a kitchen space where food is being served first, right? Thank you, Katie.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like with Black folks, right? It's like we need the to eat and to break bread first.
Yeah.
Then like an OPS site would like do that first. Then we do whatever we need to do. If there's mental health treatment, because the OPS with service would offer mental health services. If you're looking for a job, if you need talking about your husband, right? My husband's driving me crazy. I need to talk about this, right?
Yes.
And then if you want to keep on doing like we love food, exactly. If we want to continue to need to use our drug, then somebody's there to help us and make sure we're okay when we do that. But that would be, I see others, it's so clinical. Our mental health spaces are very clinical. And I feel like that is the one thing that needs to change, as well as then also to our churches, our valuable spaces that are only open sometimes Sundays and Saturdays. And my hope is like, if we could figure out how to use those spaces to make a social work Sunday week, right? Social work tea cafe.
Yeah.
Where people can come in and get the peer mental health that we need, right? It's like mental health doesn't necessarily have to be you sitting back in with one therapist, but you were working together as a community to create healing, mental health healing, and to heal our traumas together.
Yeah. Don't push me.
I know. We're gonna work together. I can see something.
That's a whole situation there.
Because there's plenty of buildings. There's plenty of buildings.
Yeah.
To get this work done. Yeah.
Yeah. Katie, she said, I love that. I attempted to do that in Nashville, something like that in Nashville. Yeah. Okay.
Were you thinking like just like first you enter in and the food is free? Like because like you got to speak to the economic condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be so dope.
Yeah.
Find out.
It can be done. I do truly
Yeah,
believe it can be done.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and church, we churches, they need that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got
Yeah.
Jesus, but we also can have that mental health piece
Exactly.
too.
Someone gave a great example. He's like, get somebody falls out, right? And or they pass out, something happens, right? There's two things that we do. We pray, but we call 911. It's not like so you got to do both, right? You pray and you call 911. You say we need Jesus and we
Mhm.
need the medical science, right?
Yes,
It goes
yes,
hand in
yes.
hand. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. If
Yes.
I look like so, I would say, add me to this like, girl, what did you that's my friend Katie. She's our host,
Thank you,
AK
Katie.
Harris. She's our host. She's from Nashville. She's in the mental
Uh-huh.
health arena as well.
Yeah.
Great friend. And so she's gonna be our host for our adult prom and fundraiser. And let everybody
Oh
know
yeah, I
that
forgot the program.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Prom is coming up. We are the organization that's been
yes,
chosen to
yes,
benefit from the prom that's coming up September the 28th, right? September
yes,
28th. Come on
yes,
out. I love to dance. I will be out there dancing.
yes,
Yay. Yes. Mental health is
yes,
dancing, right?
yes, it
Things
is.
like that. And we
Yes.
need, like you were in Nashville and like
Yep.
music.
Yep.
Like, I feel like our community has been deprived of music,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know? So that's mental health,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, what I don't know. Katie, been in Memphis, right? And they have all those great outdoor
Mhm.
spots
The
where people
festivals,
are
yeah,
playing
on Beale
music.
Street. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I haven't walked down Memphis. I mean, Nashville, I'm pretty sure they do the same
Oh,
thing.
yeah, it's
We
musical.
need
Yeah.
that. We
Yeah.
need that on the West Side.
Yeah. I
Yes.
believe that. Yeah, I believe
Mhm.
that. Yes. I think we can cook something up.
I think so.
'Cause but no, like,
Yes.
no, no, no. So how can they reach you? How can they,
Mhm.
as far as reach you and also like volunteer?
Yes.
If they would like to donate, you
Yes.
can look,
Yes.
we're raising money, but you can also donate. If you can't make
Yes.
it to the prom, donate.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So my email address is less harm. That's EA. I'm sorry. I am like tired this afternoon. Sorry. My name is less harm is LESSHARM at westsidetaskforce.org.
Okay.
That is less harm, LESSHARM at westsidetaskforce.org org. And then you can also call me. I'm always available. And so my telephone number is 815-545
Yeah.
0470. Again, that's 815-545 0470. And yes, always we take donations and we take people who volunteer, even though our organization, our director of outreach is a Black man, Luther Size, who I love.
Mhm.
He is so keyed on economics and understanding
Okay.
economics. It's like, yes, it's important for Black people to volunteer, but realize our economic situation is different from the dominant culture. And so when we can, let's
Yeah.
make sure we use our strength and power to make sure people are paid for the work that they do. And so
Mm.
we really try to make sure that our outreach workers have a decent salary, they're part-time,
Yes.
and the work that they do, they do go into perilous corners. And so we make sure that they get paid well for that.
Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
definitely. So when is the next somebody just texted me, they didn't put it on the live. When
Mhm.
is the next Narcan training? When is the next training?
We are going to be out on Tuesday,
Okay,
and I can email you our schedule. We're out 5 days a week. We're in the office on Wednesdays for
okay.
meetings, but we're out on the corners on the west side 5 days a
Yeah,
week. And so we have a schedule that we put out, and so the trainings are um, from 9 to 2.
okay,
And it only takes 5 minutes to learn how to use Narcan, less than that.
okay,
So like I said, we're out west side, so I can send you our calendar and then you can see where our corners are. But
okay,
also to know that the state of Illinois, you can go on to their Facebook. They offer Narcan trainings. We work with Dora Wright's organization, which
okay,
is Chicago Recovery Communities. and Ross Council, they offer trainings for Narcan.
Okay.
You can, like I said, go on YouTube. That's the training right there that you can get on Narcan. So that's very simple. I think what we want is for people to come out onto the corners and see the work and see
Yeah.
what's happening on the corners, see
Yeah.
what's happening in our community.
Yeah.
Just on Friday when we did that outreach, someone texts the Supra. Supra is for the state of Illinois. It's our substance use prevention and recovery unit for the state of Illinois, and they're the ones that manage our project.
Okay.
And so they call up, they text Dr. Barnett.
Okay.
Dr. Barnett, super West Sider, like his family's deep in the West Side, and he is just like working hard with us to figure out this opioid crisis. So this person texts him and says, I didn't realize the Black community was so affected by opioids. And it was like, what? And so
Yeah.
I think what needs to happen is the Black community needs to see. Like, I don't think we really are understanding what's going on. More people actually die of fatal overdoses of opioids than they
Yeah.
do of gun violence and car accidents.
Wow.
So we are really affected by the
Yeah.
situation, and because of stigma and because of shame that's
Yeah.
around drug usage, we don't talk about this issue, and it's like it's a silent killer. It's a
Yeah.
silent killer in our
Yeah.
community. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it
Mhm.
is. And I think that people need to know
Yeah.
more and more. So
Mhm.
we're gonna ring the alarm,
Yeah.
when it comes down to the West Side Task Force
Yeah.
and all the amazing work that you do. And
Mhm.
congratulations again on being the recipient of the 2024
Thank you.
Adult Prom and Fundraising.
Yes.
So look, everybody get your tickets. They online,
Yes.
www.socialworksunday.com.
Exactly.
I have Afterpay,
Mhm.
look, by
Yes.
any means necessary, but no, we want to be a blessing. I want to be a blessing to this organization
Yeah.
because I've been out there, I watched even before we even connected of what all you guys do. And so it's been amazing. Uh-oh. I think it froze up. Uh-oh. She probably froze up. But yeah, oh, there you go. Yeah, so I
Yes.
scoped you out a long time ago, and I was
Mhm.
like, okay, all
Mhm.
right, let me
Yeah.
go ahead, and that's why I reached out to you, and I was like, who is this? Who is
Yeah.
that? All right, and I had to figure out who's who and what's what, and so
Yes.
shout out to brother DeAndre, Dr. DeAndre.
Yes.
Yes, and so telling me like, yeah, they and I just went out there and I kind of like scope, oh, they be over here and they be over there. I was like, oh, okay, and so I just kind of reached out to you and to connect with you and want to be a blessing to the
Mm,
organization. And
thank
we're
you.
gonna ring the alarm. Like
Yes.
definitely all the things that we do on the West Side.
Website.
I got some South Siders on here, but
And
but that's
actually, let me
yeah.
say this: we work with the Southside Heroin Opioid Task Force.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they 2020 they formed. They had some difficulties, but they are back on track.
Okay. Okay.
Wanza Lee
Okay.
and Florence Wright are the persons that work for the Westside Heroin Opioid, Southside
South Side.
Heroin Opioid Task Force, and they're doing some incredible work. And so,
Absolutely.
Southsiders, there is something for you. Um, your drug usage or how drug usage happens on the south side is a little bit different. Where west side we have open drug markets, so we can go table in those communities, go on those
Mm-hmm.
corners where people consume drugs and deal drugs. South side is a little bit different because you guys have a more suburban feel. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't have open drug usage. So it would be good if Southsiders, especially if you guys are in the mental health field and substance use fields, to work with the Southside Task Force, because they probably need to do some door knocking. They
Mm-hmm.
probably need to do for their community, for the Southside communities, home delivery of Narcan. It would
Mm-hmm.
be good to just talk about people in those communities who we know use drugs and have homes, because it happens
Okay.
in the homes a lot.
Yeah.
And then we go straight to their homes and say, we know something's happening, no judgment. We just want to make sure you guys have Narcan. And
Yeah.
so that's a different type of outreach that needs to
Yeah.
happen on
Yeah.
the South Side versus the West Side. Even
Yeah.
though the West Side for Austin, we're a little bit more on the suburban side too. So we see from data and statistics that more overdoses do happen in homes on the West Side.
Mm.
So we're developing sort of a door knocking campaign to
Okay.
work to get Narcan in everybody's homes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Southsiders, yes, and also Northside.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
over Chicago. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
You're
for
welcome.
joining. Thank you everybody that got on the live and asked
Yeah.
questions and supporting Social Work Sunday Tea. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
So support the Westside Task Force as well for our 2024 Adele Prom and Fundraiser.
Hope to
Like,
see
check
you there. So
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I'll see you guys next week. I'm going to put out another flyer. It's going to be amazing. And yes, thank you so much. I appreciate
All
you
right,
coming on the
Shakita.
live. All right. You have an awesome day. Y'all have a good one. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.